Right, welcome. I'll be presenting you a couple of levels that we have done so far. So first off, we are starting with the starter level. It's going to be an Earth-themed level. All of our levels are some kind of element specific, and this one is Earth-themed, so it's brownish. So first we have a pretty big room. We'll be fighting a couple of enemies. We don't have a lot of enemies so far, so we'll just go through the level as we go. Then next, we'll be going through a pretty long corridor. As you can see down here, there's going to be a ladder that you can go down and either power up or enemies will be there that you can kill to get better high score or better equipment. Then continuing on, we'll be going into the next room. It's going to be a couple of pillars, a couple of objects just blocking your way, and then also a couple of enemies. This is also going to be the first arrow trap that you can see. It's shooting the player away, and also the first spike traps. If a player walks over them after a couple of seconds, they come out and then try to hurt the player. Then here you can always see to point to the next level. We enter it and then head to the next level. Next level is going to be a water themed level, so we have water tiles you can walk over to as you get slowed. More spike traps. Once again, if you walk over them after a couple of seconds, they come out and then they try to hurt you, so the player has to try to not sit on top of them. There's also going to be the first enemy in this room. There's a couple of different enemies. Those up there are suicide bombers. They don't currently work, but we'll work on that. And then there's the mages. Mages are ranged enemies that try to shoot you. You can also try and shoot back and kill them. Also worth mentioning is that the traps won't hurt the enemies, so you have to dodge the traps, but the enemies don't need to really dodge the traps. So continuing along, going to the next room, this is more like a puzzle-y type of level where you have to navigate through the traps that you can have along the way and try to not get hit, like this one. There's a lot of arrow traps that try to kill you. You just need to be fast and also think a little bit. Try and go through the narrow corridors to not get hit, just like I did. Then just continuing along, you go left, right, just continuing along the way, trying not to get hit. Also worth mentioning is if you get hit, you have a couple of seconds of invulnerability so that you don't just get ran over by enemies or by arrow traps. The next is going to be a very large room with lots of enemies in it that you can kill. Also worth mentioning is the top of the room is going to be more dangerous than the bottom of the room. So there's going to be a lot more traps on the top side of the room and a lot less on the bottom side of the room. So the player is like somewhat forced to go to the bottom side of the room. Also on the bottom side of the room you have the hallway to the next exit. You just walk through here and then go into the next level on this point down here. The next level is going to be a wind themed level. Those green platforms right now are not currently working, but we are working on that. They work like a little bumper platform that if you walk into them, they just push you away. Also, this room is more like a trap heavy room. It's going to be a lot more traps, a lot more boulders, and a lot more arrow traps that the player has to navigate through. It's also a pretty exploratory room. As you can see, there's a room down there. And also on the left, there's also more space that the player can explore. Can also just opt to just go straight up and exit your room, but the reward is going to be far less than just going through the rooms and exploring everything. Also getting a lot less high score and a lot less power-ups along the way. Once again, a lot of arrow traps along the way, and then on the very top right you can see the exit path that we can take. Then there's going to be the ice level. It's going to be a lot more fighting specific. On the left here you have a little parkour that you can take to pick up a power-up, or you can just go to the right to the main path and just go along here. As you can see, there's also now those spinning things that can stun you. If you just walk through them, they will stun you and also damage you, so the player has to keep that in mind. Also boulders coming on from the top, and also the slippery ice. If you walk through it and then just stop moving, you will just slip a little bit away and have to be careful to not get slung into something. Also, as the player walks along this path, he can already see the exit on the bottom there. So he has to get there. So he already knows like somewhat where to go. Then this is going to be also a pretty difficult room to fight in, as there's going to be enemies and a lot of traps. So the player has to be very careful of enemies and traps. So he has to, yeah, keep both in mind. Then this is also going to be a pretty dangerous arena. It's going to be a couple of enemies spawning in the middle, and you have to go around the enemies and try to shoot them, and also try to not get hit by those spike traps as you walk through, and then spikes come out. Then going through to the next level. It's going to be the last and hardest level. You start off in a very dark area, and then as you go up, you go into a very fiery themed dungeon where there's lots of lava and lots of traps. This is also a very exploratory room, as there's going to be multiple paths that the player can take. On the left there, you can see there's going to be a pickup. It's a little helm on the left there. So yeah, lots of exploration in this room. Another one on the right there. The player can also just once again opt to just go straight up and exit the rooms. But once again, it's going to be like a lot less rewarding to the players to not explore, as there's going to be lots of power-ups along the way that the player can pick up to get a lot stronger. Like once again, another power-up on here. If you go along, lots and lots of power-ups, and yeah, that's going to be it. This was the last level of our game, and thank you for listening.